Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rich Bowers, and today we are talking about the seemingly endless wave of tech layoffs. And for our discussion, I wanted to bring in a IT recruitment expert. Danielle is with us this morning. Good morning, Danielle. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing great. And unfortunately, we have a little bit more of a somber topic, but you're in the space. You're dealing with recruitment teams, candidates, clients as well, and figured to be perfect to chat at. So to get us started, Cisco, Sony, and even recently this week, EA Sports have continued the trend of more and more tech layoffs in 2024. We're approaching, I think, close to 45,000 individuals laid off this year alone in the tech space. So I want to ask you, why is this the case? Why is this happening?
Yeah, so it's definitely scary to see so many, such a large number of individuals, of course, being laid off. But with that, you do have to look at a few different factors that, of course, would contribute to it. So looking at the first one, you see the specific company factors. So Cisco is acquiring Splunk recently. Sony is now scaling back in their mobile phone business. So a lot of this is your strategic organizational changes. So usually with these types of restructuring efforts, there's some redundancies that are, of course, being identified and nipping those. Next, you look at those macroeconomic concerns. So these are playing probably your most significant role in the area. So you have the rising interest rates, you have inflation, the recession that just keeps coming around each year. And a lot of them are now reassessing what their spending looks like. So they're going to be looking at cost cutting overall. That, of course, would trim down their workforce. And lastly, probably again, one of the most impactful ones is your post-pandemic landscape. So during COVID, you had all of these tech companies hiring at such a rapid
pace, right? A rapid pace.
Yes.
I mean, even what they're saying now is overhiring, right? I think that's what you're going for.
Yeah, definitely overhiring to meet that surging demand. Now, when we look at post-COVID, about 4 years later, a lot of them are looking now at, well, it's a lot of uncertainty in the economy as a whole. So how can we recalibrate our workforce to now meet our new business objectives? Again, looking at the AI space where you've seen a lot more money being invested.
Yeah, I mean, so a great perfect storm, unfortunately, when you're talking about the business deals, the mergers and acquisitions that are occurring. You think of Microsoft. I'm a gamer a little bit, right? So Microsoft with Blizzard, right? They're going to then release people, as we've seen, as that merger comes together in their gaming space. You mentioned Cisco as well, and then overall cost cutting because they've overhired. Those of us who were, you know, well in the weeds when this was occurring, people were getting hired in almost hours. I felt like we would talk to individuals, they would have an interview the next day and then be scooped up, and that's awesome. But they spent too much, almost maybe in competition with each other to get the best individuals. And now they're saying, whoa, we have to take a step back. The economy is so uncertain. There's not a lot of stability. And we figured probably after all these years that there would be a little bit more, right? And an interesting piece that I saw was an interview that Mark Zuckerberg did, right? And it was with a podcast called Morning Brew Daily, where he says that another factor is just companies realizing that being leaner actually makes them more efficient. And I'm on a thought of both sides of the coin, right? Is that to get the most out of the employees? Is that a true statement? Have you seen this interview, and how do you feel with his statement?
Definitely saw the interview. Agree with you. I think I'm on both sides of that coin as well. In one regard, I think having a lean workforce that is, of course, in these seats, they're active, they're pushing themselves to their fullest potential is awesome. But on the flip side, are they working too many hours? Are they having that work-life balance? Are they leading to maybe burnout even faster? And inevitably, maybe they're going to leave the job before layoffs would occur. Now, again, on that flip side, though, I think if you have the right people in the right seats with the right type of mindset, committed to what that overall business objective is, that if it works for you, it works for you, which seems to be working for Meta currently.
And you mentioned burnout being a factor, right? Is that what this leads to? And I know that's an unfair question to ask you right now, but that's my thought process. Are you looking for double the workload? Is that what more efficiency means? I'm not sure, but the whole thing, as you said, it seems to be working with Meta. Meta, just picking on this company for our conversation here as an example, and we all know about it, right? is that they've released tens of thousands of individuals during these tech layoffs. And yet their stock valuations are at all-time highs. They're through the roof. So, as anybody would look and say, hey, look, they're hitting all-time highs. Why are they cost cutting? And so do you have an answer to that, or at least a thought?
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts just based on research, conversations, of course, with people in the different industries. But a lot of it, when you look at stock prices, a lot of it doesn't reflect what's happening right now. Usually it's what's happening in a year, a couple of months down the line. So it's a lot of what happens in the future. So when you look at that, you're looking at really investor expectations, strategic investments, and then, of course, your operational efficiency. But looking at the strategic investments in Meta, just for example, they've been investing over $15 billion into both the metaverse and AI. And these are the two main areas you're really seeing Meta pick up in. And they're having these advancements happen. So I would say, in Meta's regard, they definitely make sense why they have such high stock valuations currently.
Okay, so they're shifting the money to future production, right? Or they're shifting the money to probably AI is what we're hearing, right?
Yeah.
Some CEOs across all the board, not just Meta, are saying that they're shifting to AI. And it is normal to have layoffs in a year, and it's just hitting the tech space more and more recently, something we haven't really seen since the dot-com bubble. Is this more so in the news because it's popular companies? Is it, you have the CEOs who we all know and see? Is it the AI effect? We've seen layoffs with Duolingo and Salesforce because of AI. What are your last impressions on that?
I definitely think it's just what the market is currently. I don't think it's necessarily because of these big companies that everyone else is doing layoffs. I think overall layoffs are very normal. You have them in a good year, you have them in a bad year economically. But I think it's making a lot more noise because of these large companies making the announcements while also maybe having such high stock valuations again. But with that AI piece, even looking at Klarna, for example, this is someone in your e-commerce industry that is now getting rid of a lot of customer service agents. I think about 700 recently,
Mm.
and they replaced it with AI. And that has so far had such a great impact. A lot of reception that's very positive from users currently. So I think it's normal, definitely making more noise just because of your big names up there.
Yeah, it's a great point. As we kind of wrap up here, ZipRecruiter's chief economist, Julia Pollack, right? She mentioned that around 20 million people are laid off or released every single year, right? So that is something that just happens. Now, the tech space, obviously, we're seeing it. Healthcare on the other side of the coin, 20% of job growth in January, and added more than 20% more jobs than it did on average last year. So there are sectors that this isn't impacting. It comes down to, like you said, they're shifting the money. They see where it's going into AI. And I think all the overhiring, unfortunately. And, my thought process is the person who planned all the hiring, are they still there?
Yeah.
So with that being said, Danielle, I really appreciate your inputs and what you're seeing in the market and hearing as you've been through it. And for The Jump, I'm Rich Bowers. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.